Hey, good morning. I'm out here in the Mojave National Preserve this morning. Cherished resource, thousands and thousands of acres for you to explore. This is the frontier. You don't experience things like this in your daily life. You have to make an effort to come out here. And we're here with the National Park Service. We're doing some cleanup. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit. If you want to come out here, and I highly encourage that you do, go on an adventure where you are out there for a number of days. Be prepared. We want you to have a safe adventure. But that's why we created Overland Bound. Go over to overlandbound.com and you can get involved with the community. We also have an app, Overland Bound One. That's a pro tip. The reason I'm telling you that is because I do want you to come out here, but I want you to be prepared because there's no help out here. You're completely self-reliant. So you need to have the equipment, the vehicle, the water that you need to sustain yourself. You're completely self-reliant. So please get involved with the community. Now, we've come out here for a number of years and we've done trail remediation. We've taken hundreds of tons of garbage out of the preserve, and we've also planted hundreds of Joshua trees out here, and we come back every year to do more work. Now, it's not to get green points or anything like that. It's a part of the community. It's the way I grew up. I grew up backpacking with my dad, and you left it better than you found it, and you picked stuff up if you found it out there. That's why these vehicles have those big trash bags on the back, not only for our own garbage to haul it out, but we're not cleaning up after other off-roaders. I'll tell you that. We're doing cleanup from people that have come out and maybe not been as careful as they need to be. So it's just a part of the community. You guys can get involved, and I'm blessed with the size of Overland Bound now that we really do make a difference, and we've put it back in the hands of the community. So through the software, Overland Bound One, if they go out on an adventure and they find something that is larger than they can address themselves, they can mark it on the map, plan an event, folks can go out there and take care of it. You guys, if you have not been on an adventure in a little while, I highly encourage you to do it. It takes about 3 days for those voices of daily life to kind of go away and subside. I don't know what you'll find out here on an adventure, but it's hard to explain. It's hard to express. You'll find something profound, a new way of looking at your life, a decision that you have to make with the big things like family, what it is that you do for a living, how you spend your time day to day. You'll have some insight when you go back, and it will improve the quality of your life. I guarantee it. So get on out here, please. I'd love to see you over there at overlandbound.com. We'll help you out. We all started somewhere. We weren't all rugged outdoorsmen. We had to learn. So you guys, get on over there, and we'll see you out in the wild. Now, I need to make one more cup of coffee, and then today, it's about adventure and exploration. The next few days, it'll be about getting some work done. So just about time to hit the trail. All right, now I got a little bit of bad news, and I'm going to give you some good news. The bad news is that this devastated area that you see around me, that was human error. That was caused by human. This whole area is burnt up. Now, I was here just a few short years ago with friends. Man, this was an oasis in the desert. Out in the middle of the desert, you drive back here, and you had shade, trees, green. It was absolutely amazing. And now it's all burnt up. Now, the other thing is, a few years ago when Overland Bound planted hundreds of Joshua trees over in a fire devastated area a few miles from here, this is the area we came to get Joshua tree seeds. Now it's all burned up. So I know you guys aren't smoking and throwing cigarette butts out of the window or anything like that, but a couple other things to keep in mind. Your vehicle has hot parts underneath, catalytic converter, exhaust system. So when you travel out here, keep in mind, don't go off the trail. You shouldn't do that anyway, but also you go off the trail and you can start a fire, because an ember, a spark, it gets hot, and then the wind's blowing out here, boom, happens just like that. And then the other thing is, when you guys are building a campfire in a designated spot, in a campfire ring, build it as small as you can and still get the job done. Don't build a big old fire because those embers, they can go a really long ways. So build the fire as small as you can. Now, here's the good bit of news that I have for you. Now, we might not be here to see it, but this will be back. Okay, we spread the good word about being careful. Before we turn around, we leave this place, I'm going to show you guys a couple of things that are pretty cool. You and I can agree, this is a pretty desolate place. Mojave Desert. Well, let me show you something kind of cool. Nature will find a way. Okay, before I show you cool thing number 2, I'm about to make you 10% smarter about the desert. Along the Mojave Road, it was originally planned to travel by horse and wagon about a day between water sources. So there are springs throughout the Mojave Desert if you know where to find them. Now, don't mess around with Death Valley. That's a whole different thing. All right, now, cool item number 2. Let me show you. So the fire revealed some things. All right. Now, to the untrained eye, this looks like a pile of trash. Well, it is a pile of trash, but there's something interesting about this pile of trash. This is tin, and it's opened by key. Same with this. Looks like a can of Budweiser, possibly. And looking a bit closer, this here was probably around before your grandfather was a young man. This is a can of Havoline motor oil, the open, with a key. Along with this, there's a general rule of thumb out here. When we come out here, we come with a, not always, when we're doing a cleanup with the Park Service, our good friend Dave is with us. And Dave is an archaeologist for the Park Service, and he lets us know what is an artifact and what indeed is garbage. General rule of thumb is that anything over 50 years old is considered an artifact.
There are historic artifacts mixed in with other stuff. Stuff that you remember from the 60s, 70s, 80s, obviously are not artifacts. The standing rule, the legal rule for us as archaeologists is 50 years old or older. I know for a fact that I've seen Model T parts out there. If you have a question about what you're picking up and it's not obvious to you that it's of recent origin, ask me.
Oh, and an important part of that, if it's an artifact, you leave it where you found it.
raise your hand for each rig, not for each person. How many rigs do we have?
All right, we got fading light now. We came back to camp. I came back to camp and we met with the National Park Service and we planned out the work that is going to happen tomorrow. Now, it takes weeks and weeks of planning, not only by the Park Service, but also by Overland Bound members to get organized. So when you have this many people, you make the best of the day and get as much done as possible. So there's been a lot of hard work by a lot of folks. Now, tomorrow, we're going to try and identify up to 150 campsites in the area, in the park. And then we're going to also be recording the status of that campsite. And by campsite, what I mean is a campfire ring, if there's a ring there in the park. So if it's gone, we'll say it's gone. If there are some issues with it, we'll say there's some issues. If there's trash or vandalism, we'll mark that as well. But that's one of the major jobs tomorrow. Also, we're going to be putting in some signage, and then we're also going to be doing some trash removal and black pipe removal. So there's a lot going on tomorrow, a lot of hard work leading up to this point. Tonight, we're going to visit, see a lot of old friends from the community. Hey, if you need a community to connect with, Overland Bound, we'd love to have you. And then we'll wrap it up, get a good night's sleep, and hit it bright and early in the morning.
I'm retired. I'm picking up my son. Yes, sir, right away.
My dad was 100% consistent.
Oh, okay.
So was it something you weren't expecting?
That cloud came out of the trees, and I went, oh, geez, Oprah's up.
But the one that complained the most was, I think, who was behind me?
Oh, Colin, yeah.
When we are done touring this, we're gonna walk down Heart Mine Road, which is this road right here. We cannot drive it because there was some old railroad culverts that burned out from the York fire that we're currently in. This is called Barnwell Seep. So it's not as much of a spring, but when it rains, the water will just cool out. So in that main area, or where you'll normally have birds, is where the seep truly is. So if you want to go and check out, or if you see any like wet soil, we always take note of all of our water sources just because they're so rare and special out here.
Because you can tell that this part up here and the seam was all made using machines.
Ray, if you can't go there, don't go. Don't damage the car. Okay, yes, that's good choice that you abandoned with the shock. I don't want you to roll the car. Yeah, come back out. We're near Ivana Road. Let me look up the campsites. Our last campsite, we went to the big one, and all what we find is some grassland and some burnt down. Hey, my name is Ahmed Pressler. I'm leading the Overland Bound crew in the East Bay. Michael has asked me to describe a little bit what we're doing today. We're out in a national park in the Mojave Desert, and we're helping the National Park Service inventory the dispersed campsites. So we're basically going around from place to place. We have a map of 160 sites that we're inventorying today, and we're kind of like looking what we find with the fire rings out there, how many vehicles or tents would fit, and how impacted or non-impacted the site is. Some of them we find, some of them we don't find, some of them are a little bit difficult to reach. Actually, we started out in the morning targeting 3 sites, and they were immediately on private property. So turns out that's probably not a valid campsite. But right now we're in a gorgeous place.
Out, I ripped my antenna off, so I had to go to a secondary. But we're gonna finish the job.
I know that you're curious, I know that you're strong, but life can be furious and things can go wrong. You go, we're better off tomorrow, but who knows if we get joy or sorrow. Stay true to that fire in your heart and your soul. Don't drench your desire in what you can't control. We fly, we fly.